Have you ever noticed that the people who seem to make the most money, get the best promotions, and retire the earliest aren't necessarily the hardest workers or the most talented people in the room, but are often the ones who are just a little bit difficult? If you have ever felt a knot in your stomach at the thought of asking for a raise, or if you've ever stayed in a loyal but underpaid position because you didn't want to inconvenience your boss, you are likely paying a hidden economic penalty that costs the average woman over $500,000 throughout her career. We need to talk about the agreeableness tax, the statistical reality that being nice, accommodating, and communal is actively shrinking your net worth, and why the most profitable financial decision you can make this year isn't buying a stock, but learning how to be strategically disagreeable. Here is the thing that nobody in the mainstream finance world wants to tell you because it sounds harsh, but the math is undeniable. The economy does not reward people who are easy to get along with. It rewards people who create friction. And for women, this reality creates a devastating financial paradox that I call the agreeableness tax. In the world of psychometrics, agreeableness is one of the big 5 personality traits, defined by a tendency to be compassionate, cooperative, and eager to avoid conflict. And while these are incredible traits for being a good friend or a supportive partner, they are catastrophic traits for maximizing income in a capitalist system. Study after study has shown a strong negative correlation between high agreeableness and income, meaning the nicer you are, the less you get paid. And this correlation is significantly stronger and more punitive for women because we are socially conditioned from childhood to prioritize communal harmony over individual gain. When you look at the ask gap, the difference between what men and women ask for when entering a new job, it isn't just a confidence issue. It is a social cost calculation where women subconsciously realize that negotiating might violate the social expectation of being a team player, so they accept the first offer to preserve the relationship. But let's break down the math of that single moment of hesitation, because the compound effect is terrifying. If you accept a starting salary of $50,000 instead of negotiating up to $55,000, just a $5,000 difference, you aren't just losing $5,000, you are resetting the baseline for every single raise, bonus, and 401k match you will receive for the rest of your life. A 3% raise on $50,000 is less than a 3% raise on $55,000. And over a 40-year career, that initial polite silence compounds into a difference of over $600,000 in lost earnings, not including the investment growth that money could have generated. That is the agreeableness tax in action. It is the cost of your silence. And it goes beyond just salary. It bleeds into how we manage our time and our investments. Highly agreeable people are more likely to take on non-promotable tasks in the workplace, planning the office party, taking notes in meetings, mentoring the new intern, labor that is essential for the company but has zero correlation with promotions or pay raises. This is what economists call shadow work, and women do the vast majority of it. You are essentially donating your time to your employer for free, reducing the energy you have for the high-impact, revenue-generating projects that actually lead to wealth. Furthermore, this desire to avoid conflict and maintain stability makes women statistically more likely to stay in underpaid jobs longer than men, suffering from a loyalty penalty, because companies know they don't have to fight to keep you. They know you won't leave because leaving feels mean or disruptive, so they maximize their profits by minimizing your pay, effectively monetizing your kindness against you. We also see this in investment behavior, where the fear of doing something wrong or the desire for safety leads women to hold disproportionate amounts of cash rather than entering the market, because the stock market is inherently volatile and disagreeable. It doesn't care about your feelings. It goes up and down without apology. By trying to keep your money safe and quiet in a savings account, you are subjecting it to the silent killer of inflation, which is the market's way of punishing passivity. The system is designed to extract value from those who do not demand it, and every time you say yes to a request you don't have time for, it's okay to a mistake that cost you money, or no problem when asked to do extra work without extra pay, you are literally transferring wealth from your future self to the people around you who are willing to be less agreeable than you are. The harsh reality is that your desire to be liked is the single biggest liability on your balance sheet, and until you learn to decouple your self-worth from your compliance, you will continue to subsidize the success of everyone else while your own financial independence slowly evaporates. So, how do we escape the agreeableness tax without turning into a completely toxic person that nobody wants to work with? The answer lies in developing what I call strategic disagreeableness, which is the ability to selectively apply friction where it matters most, specifically where your money and your time are involved. You have to realize that in a negotiation, no is not a rejection, it is the beginning of the transaction. When you hear a number that is lower than your market value, your biological instinct might be to smooth things over and say, okay, that works. But you have to override that instinct with a new financial operating system that says, I appreciate the offer, but based on the market value and my contribution, I was expecting something in the range of X. That uncomfortable silence that follows, that is where the money is made. You have to learn to sit in that silence, to let it be awkward, because that awkwardness is the feeling of leverage shifting in your favor. We also need to fundamentally rewrite the narrative around greed versus growth. Women are often taught that wanting more money is greedy or unladylike, but we need to reframe wealth accumulation as a responsibility, not a vice. When you have money, you have agency. You have the power to leave toxic environments, to support causes you care about, and to build a life of safety for your family. By refusing to negotiate, you aren't being noble, you are being financially negligent toward your future self. This shift requires moving from a saver mindset, which is passive and agreeable, to an earner mindset, which is active and assertive. Savers try to shrink their lives to fit their income, apologizing for taking up space. Earners try to expand their income to fit their lives, demanding the space they deserve. This means auditing your shadow work and ruthlessly cutting it out. If a task does not lead to a raise, a promotion, or a direct increase in your skills, you need to either delegate it, automate it, or simply say no to it. This is terrifying for agreeable people, but here is the secret. People actually respect boundaries more than they respect compliance. When you start saying no, you signal that your time is valuable, and the market pays for value, not for availability. We also need to apply this aggression to our investments. You cannot nice your way to retirement. You need to be aggressively buying assets that don't care if you are nice. Index funds, real estate, businesses, vehicles that generate cash flow regardless of your social standing. The beauty of the stock market is that it is the one place where your gender, your personality, and your likability do not matter. Only your capital matters. By automating your investments, you remove your own hesitation from the equation, forcing your money to be brave even when you feel timid. You need to view your finances as a separate entity from yourself. Treat your wealth like a business you are managing. A CEO wouldn't lower prices just to be nice to a customer because it would bankrupt the company. In the same way, you cannot lower your value just to be nice to an employer or a friend. The most dangerous trap is the belief that if you just work hard and are pleasant, the world will notice and reward you. It won't. The world rewards those who demand to be rewarded. It is time to stop waiting for permission to be wealthy. The next time you feel that urge to apologize, to back down, or to accept less than you are worth, I want you to remember the $600,000 tax. Is avoiding 5 minutes of awkwardness really worth $500,000? I didn't think so. It's time to stop paying the price for being a good girl and start reaping the rewards of being a smart woman.